Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Booby!
Well, hello.
And hi.
And welcome to
Boobies.
I am Caitlin.
And I am Joshua.
And we are your hosts for this spectacular, fun time of blood today.
Gruesome
This motherfucker
deaths.
is gory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty up in your face with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
practical effects, pretty nice.
Yeah, they're really
pretty
good.
damn good. Especially with the
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that part.
with the S word
Yep.
part. But yeah. And what are we covering today, Caitlin?
We are covering the 2006 remake of Wes Craven's 1977,
Mm-hmm.
The Hills Have Eyes.
The Hills Have Eyes. Dun dun dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
And they also have mutants.
That's right. They sure do. They
with
are
those eyes.
people who are we're in a nuclear living in a place where nuclear testing had occurred.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the opening of the screen, it like tells us from 1945 to 1962 that there were 331 atmospheric nuclear tests conducted by the U.S. government, and that they deny any genetic defects that have occurred.
Yeah.
Which is clearly
Not the case.
Yeah.
But also when you like inform and tell the town of people to like evacuate and they choose to stay, I mean, what really then is like,
yeah, that's
you know,
really on them.
honestly.
So in 1945 in New Mexico, there was an actual, it was the world's first nuclear explosion. And it occurred on July 16th, 1945, when a plutonium implosion device was tested at the site located 210 miles south of Los Alamos, New Mexico, on the plains of the Alamogordo bombing range, known as the Jordana del Muerto.
So many names.
There are.
Yeah.
Basically, the code name for this test was the Trinity test, though.
Okay.
And so it was an actual bombing that occurred there. Now, like all the mannequins at the end is an actual thing that happened in Atomic City, Nevada. And so I had earlier in it, I was like, oh, like making all these notes about, because I'd seen this before. We talked about how we saw it in basically 2006 when it came out, and we haven't seen it
a
since.
long ass time ago.
Yeah. I remember seeing it and remember being like, but
yeah, me too.
yeah,
I was terrified.
but I didn't remember anything about the rest of the film.
I think I
basically.
watched it at a cousin's house maybe.
Yeah.
And was one of those things where like they were watching in a different room and I was going in and out because I was like, oh, this is too scary.
Yeah,
But then
it's
I'm
really
like, let me go back.
Gory.
Oh, this is too scary again.
Yeah.
And then would leave. Yeah.
But so it was something that is called, it was Operation Doorstep. And it was basically where I don't know why this is a weird like piece of knowledge that I know.
I was like, how did you like from the stem from watching that and later on you just like looked it up or it just came to you?
No, this is like, I was making notes about it before I saw the dummies. I was talking about Atomic City, Nevada, like in my notes. And then they brought that up.
Gotcha.
And with the mannequins at the end and stuff.
Yeah.
So, because the Don't Worry, Darling, is that the one with Harry Styles that's in Florence?
Don't
Pew.
worry.
That's going to be coming out, directed by Olivia Wilde.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
I don't know the name of the title, but
I think
know what
it's
you're talking
Don't
about.
Worry, Darling. I was watching the trailer for that. And while I was watching it is when I uncovered this memory. I was like, it kind of is giving me these vibes of like this nuclear test site that happened in Nevada. And I was telling one of my employees about it, and I was
Yeah.
like, look at all this. And she was like, why do you know this? And I was like, I don't
But
know.
what happened? What was it? Like,
So basically they put all of these like
the mannequins, fake
mannequins and houses and stuff, and like just cars were positioned
people?
everywhere with like people in it to see what could withstand the actual atomic blast.
Gotcha.
And so basically they just had all these like people stationed and stuff, like people in the basement,
like mannequins, though. Not real people.
yeah, they're mannequins.
Yeah.
And you can see like where
they're like in a bomb shelter type of setting.
And so then like there's the after effects too, where they've like all been blown up and they're like knocked over and stuff. And
I bet.
so a lot of the scenes that were happening towards the end of the movie were really giving me these, and
Those
we'll have to
vibes.
post some of these pictures on our Instagram because it's super cool and I wish more people knew about it because it's fucking wild. So basically, and they used it. It's so weird. This was occurring in like the 50s to 60s and stuff. On January 27, 1951, nuclear testing at the NTS officially began with the detonation of Shot Able, a 1 kiloton bomb as a part of Operation Ranger. No clue what that means.
Yeah.
But basically, in they were doing large scale atmospheric tests, and they lasted for nearly 12 years.
Yeah.
They were doing this, and they had all that to see like what could actually withstand it and how like close people could be to a bomb. And then they basically used it as like tourism. And so like the mushroom clouds from the atmospheric test could be seen up to 100 miles away. And this led to increased tourism for Las Vegas. And throughout the 50s and early 60s, the city capitalized on this interest. And so
that's crazy.
They're like, come see, and some casinos hosted dawn parties and created atomic-themed cocktails, encouraging visitors to view the test.
Yeah.
And basically, they'd just be
that
like,
is wild.
come see our mushroom clouds. Like it's just so weird.
That is so crazy, cool, but crazy.
Because
but
especially what we know about.
Yeah, now. But
nuclear.
because like nuclear fission was like, just like, they were still getting it all together back then. They're just like, yeah, we're just blowing things up. Like, little do they know, like, you're like creating nuclear. That is a huge crater.
Yeah, and it looks just like the ones
from the movie.
in the movie.
Yeah. They're creating like all this nuclear fallout. That's like literally mutating people if they get too close. And also just it kills you. You get cancer and all that stuff.
Yeah,
if
giving
you, like,
people
get any
a lot
exposure.
of way too
much
things
exposure.
they wouldn't be getting
yeah.
Normally. Sorry, I know I have like a bunch of weird facts about this film. Well, just because of things that I like that were triggered in my memory throughout. So I'll drop a few, but there is one that is this was just on IMDb trivia, but it says at around 3 minutes, the photos of mutations that play during the opening credits, which this opening credit scene is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I really like it.
It's like what inspired American Horror Story.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And, but they're not birth defects from atomic mutation, but birth defects caused by the Agent Orange in Vietnam. And so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But also like so sad.
Yeah. Agent Orange is like something that even it gets passed down through your generations. Once it's in your bloodstream, it's in your bloodstream. So then like it can affect,
which is so wild,
generations to come. Like even if it skips a few, it could affect like your great grand son or something. Yeah.
Which is so strange.
Yeah. My dad was in Vietnam, so he thankfully didn't get in contact with that, but he has a lot of friends that like died and like their kids are fucked up because of like getting exposed to it.
So wild. I want to research more about Agent Orange now. I don't know too much
Chemical
about
warfare.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I really know. But yeah, so we're in the New Mexico desert where it did say 1945. That is factual.
We start with that little black screen. It gives us information. It's setting up like what we need to know about the film. Then we get that beautiful, like really cool, stylistic opening credits type of scene where we're getting like images of nuclear tests. Then we get cut in scenes of like, people, children with deformities or defects caused by the chemicals and the radiation exposure. And then after that in sequence we get
okay, that's where it was. It was during that opening sequence they were putting the mannequins in, and I was like, that was where I was like, oh, these mannequins are inspired like this off of this actual town. Before that cool opening sequence even happens, that person that jumped out and got that I don't know, radiation
whatever it
worker.
was. Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, no,
I
it was a quick jump scare.
I was
Oh
like,
yeah, because right before that, we kind of get these government officials. It looks like they're trying to like get back something, or it was a fish or something.
Yeah.
From like
The water was green, and this Godzilla. That's
they were
how
trying
it
to
formed.
collect samples, and they end up getting killed.
Yeah.
By
and they've got super strength.
we figure out later. I think it's Lizard who killed them.
Lizard's the one with the like tooth, and then I think definitely Homeboy that was in there with Lizard in the trailer. I think he was there too because he was just whapping him around like they were a rag doll. Is wild.
Yeah, apparently with radiation exposure, you get not only the deformities but superhuman strength and like the ability to not die.
Yeah, I was like half of these he gets stabbed and it's just like. Okay.
Yeah.
And then other guy gets blown up and he's just
still
like
alive. Yeah. And so after the opening sequence, we get this dude. He's in this like he kind of reminds me of like what the harbinger of death would be in all movies, you know, at this gas station, and he's looking for Ruby. He's calling out for Ruby.
Yeah, and I was like, who the fuck is Ruby?
And he's going around everywhere. He's looking for her, calling out. He goes as far as to like going like over this like trespassing area,
and you can see
not cross,
even
whatever.
there that the rocks and stuff are green
they're different
too.
colors. Yeah,
and
different colored.
Like,
and he ends up going into like the opening of this cave and
little mining
talking
shaft.
to saying Jupiter, right?
Yeah,
or someone Jupiter, and he's like, and all these the characters of the town or whatever, they all have like it's like Jupiter, Lizard,
Ruby,
goggles,
yeah,
Ruby. Pluto, I think, was one at one time. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what. Who knows why?
Yeah,
I don't know what the correlation is, but they all have just like those. Because
none of these people really looked like a lizard or
in space, like
yeah,
planets. I don't know. And then Ruby. I don't know.
Ruby. Yeah, I mean, it was fitting that she got the red jacket.
Yeah, for sure. Poor Ruby.
Yeah,
poor Ruby.
She deserved
Ruby
more.
For justice.
Justice for
Ruby. Thank
Ruby
you.
for justice.
Could you imagine? Okay. And so he's basically getting back to the whatever gas station he's at, and he's saying like he doesn't want to do this anymore. He's tired of whatever. You kind of get the sense of like he's working with someone and he's just like, I don't want to do it. And then you see a bag on the front porch of whatever his place is, and then he takes it anyways, and he's like, well, you know what? Might as well. It's already here. Just let me see what's in here. And so obviously he's been getting, I would say, like compensated with like jewelry and all the things that they steal from all the people that end up like getting murdered. That
they really don't have any use for.
Yeah. And I mean, even so, what would he have any use for it? He it makes no sense to me.
He is pretty far
like, what
out
was the motive? Because I'm just like, what would you even, what do you spend your money on?
You're just living out here in
squalor.
A weird shack.
Yeah. And did you see his shirt? Like all that like brown, like just like sweaty.
It looked like he'd been wearing that for days. Weeks. Yeah.
It was gross.
That's not his only t-shirt. I would have just taken my shirt off.
Right?
At that point.
But it's the way that, and I know his house stank.
Oh, it had to.
And he don't smell it though.
So gross.
Yeah, he's so used to it.
They're so weird, the like juxtaposition between the front little store, because it looked like organized, but you could tell it wasn't clean.
Off. Yeah,
there was like a thick layer of dust over everything.
Yes, and how do they do that?
How to
fake dust, like just like whoosh, like
maybe they've got
because everything like
kind of like almost like a fire extinguisher, but just with dust,
and it's brown colored. Yeah, and I know everything in there was either fake or expired as hell.
Oh yeah, I know. Whenever homeboy Bob takes the
bottle of water.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Bobby, don't drink that.
Probably poisoned.
Yeah, I was like,
probably got some tincture in it to make them fall asleep.
Yeah.
Which is not the case, but that is a missed opportunity from them if they didn't do that.
Just poison everyone.
And so,
anyways,
he can't do it anymore. Going through the bag, finds an ear.
A
bloodied up ear. And then, like it's still bloody.
And it's got pictures. It's got
earrings,
piercings.
Right? The piercings, yeah,
all over it. And then he pulls out a picture with a woman and a man, and the girls. You can see all the piercings in the ear, so you know it's her ear.
It gives very fresh when he puts in like pictures of the girls with the meat.
Yeah. Like, here you go. Here's what you're getting.
Yeah.
It looked like an Olsen twin in the photo. I was like, is that an Olsen twin?
Too close attention to it. It could have been.
It probably was not.
No, it could have been Elizabeth.
It could have been.
But when she was younger, maybe. I don't know. And so then we have the family showing up, which we have our main family, the Coopers. No, I'm just kidding. They're not the Coopers.
Oh, I was like, is that their last name?
I don't think we never got a last name.
Yeah.
So we did. Bob, Ethel. We have Lynn and Doug. And Brenda and
Bobby.
And
little Bobby, big Bob.
Also a baby named Catherine.
Yes.
And 2 doggos named Beauty and Beast. Which is very fitting.
How cute.
They were very cute. And anyways, when there's dogs involved in a scary movie, something's going to happen to them. And so anyways, we have them kind of pulling up.
Big Bob.
The Big Bob comes out. He's getting some gas. That crazy dude who runs the shop, who was yelling to Ruby and all this earlier, comes out and is being very kind of a little cryptic with them, I would say. Not cryptic, but at one point, I think Doug or Bobby asked him, like, you got cell service out here? And he's like, nope, sure don't. Or, yeah. And then
you're not going to. And because they said, Doug was like, I sell cell phones. So he was like, you're not going to find any customers out here. Yeah. Kind of thing. And then someone asked him, like, isn't it illegal to smoke by a fuel pump? And he's got like, this, like, fat ass cigar in his mouth.
And he's just got this little laugh that he does. Like, oh, my God.
He's unhinged.
Literally, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, he keeps just making these weird comments. Excuse me. And so, after that, I think they're what we get to figuring out that it's Bob and Ethel's 25th silver I was about to say reunion wedding anniversary, and they're on vacation. But before they were going to San Francisco, right?
Yeah, San Francisco or San Diego, one
something
of the Sands in California.
They wanted to stop, basically, I think it was more so. Bob was like wanted to take the scenic route and like see the desert and stuff,
and everyone else was like,
"Why the fuck are we out here?"
Like Doug, oh God. Man, Doug really redeems himself for me, but at the beginning of this movie, I was like, shut the fuck up, Doug. You're being a little fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're being disrespectful.
He is. Like the way that, the dad was being a fucking dick to him too.
Yeah, but still.
But I was like, dude, don't.
Oh, and also because he's taking it out on Lynn as well. Yeah, the way he talks to her. Like, it's also like not, Yeah, because
he was like, get me this, get me that. And I'm like, dude, like, get your own fucking jacket, bitch. Like, do something.
Yeah, and there were moments at the beginning
Lynn was trying to be so sweet. And I hated Doug at the beginning.
Me too. I second that.
But I do agree. He was like, why can't we fly like normal people? I would have been like, yeah. Or at least because even the guy's like, you sure didn't take the fastest route to get there.
Yeah, I know. Like, and then also too, like going through the hot desert, you're in this like setting with like traveling with family in general is just like not fun sometimes.
And that's so many people. That's too many people.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's too many people, opinions. So, like people are gonna be fighting, getting on each other's nerves. It's hot.
Yeah, because the AC was out in the airstream.
That's right.
Oh.
Ooh. And so, anyways, we have them all doing their thing. We're getting this like movie kind of set up, and someone. We don't see who it is, comes and like steals the jacket, right?
Yeah, we just see
out of the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Which is a red jacket.
Because the windows were rolled down.
Which is, I'm assuming, Ruby.
Yes. We just see her little feet, which we do see later. They are her little
very
socks.
Little.
Yeah.
I feel like she was really like that tall.
Yeah, she wasn't very tall.
And so they get to talking, right? Or they're getting ready. They're leaving and they're all like getting ready to go. We have half of them getting in the RV and half of them getting into the front of the truck.
And Bobby was peeing and she looked through.
That's right, Ruby. Yeah,
I feel like Ruby liked him. That's why she took his
she
sweater.
Thought it was cute.
Yeah, because she was about their age.
Yeah,
and poor Ruby.
Poor Ruby, she deserved more.
She did.
And so I forgot about that. Yeah, he had to pee. It's the way he almost peed in front of his sister, and she was like, "There's literally an outhouse right there." But like, I would not. I wouldn't have gone in that outhouse. I would have like pissed behind it. Maybe
there was like 18 fly traps in there covered. And then
like animal pieces.
Yeah. I was like, there were definitely carcasses in
the odor alone, I know, just was so fucking horrible.
It had to have been. Like, I would have
desert heat and bloody carcasses.
I'm going to throw up.
And so, they get to go in. And before they get going, what's it? I think it's Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Beauty gets out of the car or the RV, wherever they had her in. And she ends up going into the cafe store or whatever it is. Yeah. And the corner store. And that's whenever Lynn goes to go looking for her and she gets up into the place. That's when we were talking about, we see all this like product on shelves, but it's like not, it's all dusty.
Definitely
it looks
untouched.
It looks like a fake storefront.
Yeah.
And she goes through the back through this beaded curtain, which I love beaded curtains. And she sees the bag that we saw from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's the way that she's about to go through it, but then homeboy like pops in and is like, "Can I help you? What you doing in here?" And she's like, "Sorry, the dog got riled up. She won't calm down now or whatever." Which I also would thought the way she explained it was weird. I was like, "Wait, it's just, oh, my dog got out and ran in here. I'm getting it. I'll leave." Like, yeah. But anyways, they get back to the vehicle. They're about to head out, and that's whenever the dude, I guess because he's suspecting now, well, she might think something's up. My cover's blown or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she definitely, because he noticed that she had, like, I think she had already walked away from the bag, but he noticed the bag had been, like, disturbed. And so he was
she really
like,
just, like, but
yeah,
still.
she really only just opened it, and that was it. But yeah, I mean, she has no clue whether or not that stuff is his.
Yeah, and she didn't make any mention to anyone anyways, so she wasn't that worried about it. And so that's whenever he comes up to Bob and he's like, "You know what? There is a shortcut. If you just travel up a couple miles and make a left."
2 miles left, big dirt road with a fence. You can't miss it. It's probably a fence saying like, "U.S. government,
danger,
keep out.
Do not
Radiation zone."
And Bob says thank you. And they go on that way, and he decides to take the shortcut.
If the moment someone told me this road's not on a map,
no, not happening.
Absolutely, fuck not.
If it's not on a map, then it doesn't deserve to be driven on.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to.
Yeah. Exactly. It's uncharted territory.
Especially like all of that, and he's supposed to be a fucking ex-detective, and I was like, none of this
is ringing
gave
any bells.
you any red flags.
Especially when he's like in his death scene too, whenever he like freaks the fuck out. I'm like, yo, shouldn't you have at least a little bit more chill, considering that you were an ex-police officer, ex-detective?
All of it.
And
even when he goes in and he's like yelling, and he's like later on when he's talking and he's just like I'm like, obviously, bro, nobody's replying to you. Go into stealth mode.
Yeah.
Like you're just like,
if something is amiss.
Yeah.
Like, no. I don't know. He didn't really give. I mean, but then there were some points.
There are so many points too in this movie with a lot of the characters though that where I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like you deserve to die. Because
there's literally at one point where I wrote, "I hope Doug dies soon." Of course, he doesn't fucking die.
No.
Well, not that we know
of.
But
you know, he has a little turning point, I guess.
He does.
I don't even know. It's just more so that I respect him for like holding his own and like really
I seriously
kicking some
didn't
ass.
expect him to. I expected him to like just
fold, die, especially
roll
in that
over
one scene.
and be murdered.
And so we have them. Then we also get we just get some exposition. They're all talking. It's like family time as they're like getting there. Mom used to be a hippie.
She was a
Dad
little
thinks
hottie.
she was hot. Yeah. Kids are grossed out, obviously. And then we have oh yes, that's whenever these like spikes get
little
like
fancy tire spikes.
Get laid out like super like a whip, like a chain, just whoosh, and just gets laid out on the road, and the tires get fucked up, wrecked. That Bob loses control of the vehicle, obviously.
Yeah, because he's got this
just, like,
fucking
all
giant
the weight behind
Airstream behind him.
Yeah.
So you're already fishtailing probably a little bit.
And it's just like all that propelled, like pushing them even more. And the way they hit that big old boulder, they hit a big ass boulder, end up like really wrecking the axle in the truck. It's all twisted. The frame's fucked up.
Yeah.
But the way they hit it, I'm like, surely like he would have been like dead on impact.
It kind of went up a little bit, so maybe that's the only way
that saved his life,
because it went the impact was a little more under. I was like remarkably I was shocked at his condition afterwards, because he was remarkably fine, and I was like, are you superhuman? No, I'm just kidding.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
And we're back.
Yeah, so these bitches, are super beings.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, he gets out, and the way that fucking Doug comes up, he's like, so what's the damage? And he was like, the axle's all twisted. And he just kind of looks at it and he's like, it's totaled. And Doug goes, well, can we fix it? And he was like, did you not just fucking hear me?
Literally.
The car is totaled. The axle, like the wheels are like,
yeah, there's no fixing it. Because he's like, Doug is like, what can we do? And I know Bob's thinking in his head, like, what can you do? Like, nothing.
Pussy ass bitch.
Yeah.
That's what he's thinking.
Because that's what Doug or Bob, it gives definitely the vibes that Bob does not respect Doug.
Oh,
and
no.
Doug doesn't
he thinks
respect
he's
Bob.
Less of a man. And
because he's a Democrat and he's afraid of guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, LOL, which, same.
Yeah, honestly.
But
guns are evil.
I don't.
The invention of the gun,
much good for them.
The invention of the gun was the changing tide of like humanity. Like really was.
Fuck the Winchester rifles.
And so
I did get the Winchester Mystery House out of it though, so that's pretty fucking cool.
But did we need the rifles?
No,
probably not. And so we have them all kind of like, oh, well, what now? You know, there's no signal. They are in the middle of the complete fucking nowhere.
I like the way he checked though, and I was like,
yeah,
dude. And he's like, 97% coverage, and we're in the 3% that doesn't get it. And I'm like,
I was like, why are you trying to sell your phone like gig to your wife? Like,
exactly.
Calm down.
And also, still to this day, it is hard to get cell service out there. I've made the drive from Texas to California multiple times now, and in that region of New Mexico. And I don't know if they were coming from Texas, but I imagine there's somewhere out there. There are parts of the like stretch of road in New Mexico and Arizona where you get no cell service. And
that's crazy.
I've been,
do you think they almost do it on purpose because they don't want people living out there because they're holding secrets?
Probably. They got Roswell, Area 51. But yeah, there's like, I mean, with Sprint, I got like 0. I've made this drive with multiple cell services too, actually. I
tested them all out.
Yes. With Sprint, I had like 0 out there. And then with Verizon, I actually did have more. And thankfully, like on top of it's certain mountains in California too, I was able to get cell service while other people weren't, which was nice. So this is an ad for Verizon.
There we go. I was like, is Verizon
America's
still a thing?
Network. Yeah, that's who I have.
Oh, okay. I don't even know anymore. It's Verizon.
AT&T.
I thought Sprint was like absorbed into someone else at this point.
Oh, probably.
I think it was absorbed with T-Mobile.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, so maybe just Verizon.
I don't know.
Cricket.
They're all monopolies.
I have Verizon.
In their own right.
Yeah, they are.
And so we have them basically just like, there's not really much to do. Men
are being immature as fuck. They're just like.
We have Brenda's just like, well, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to pull out a chair and start sun tanning.
Took no time.
Literally.
She was just like, bleep.
I'm going to use the sun. And that's whenever we have them kind of coming back.
And the way Doug looks at her too.
Oh yeah, I was noticing
like,
that
what
too.
What a fucking creep.
Creep. Checking out the younger sister.
Yeah.
And so they're the girls are chatting, I remember, and then I think that's whenever because Lynn and Brenda are chatting, and that's whenever Doug is like, "Can you get my sweater?"
And she's like, "Yes, honey." Brenda
does
responds,
it. Yeah. And then after that, because this is when we get an exposition of just like Brenda being like, "Next year I'm not coming on this family trip. I'm going to Cancun with my friends. Don't blame me, girl." And they end up deciding that Doug is going to go like walk up the road a few miles just to see if there's anything or anybody he can get some help, and that Bob is going to go back to the gas station where they saw the creepy old man to see if he can borrow his car
and be like,
and go get a tow truck or get some help or something.
Exactly. And when Lynn is inside the trailer, she's in there and she sees a reflection.
That's right.
In the heels,
but right before she can
hills,
think of anything of it, Bobby like comes up and scares her on the side of the RV.
Yeah, and he's like, "Can you get me a Twinkie?"
Yeah.
And so in this point, the birds were kind of like chittering too, because there were random birdies in there, the little parrots.
Not the birds.
And at this point was when another fact was triggered in my brain, and I was like, "Aren't birds a good detection for radiation?" But it was canaries were used in mines.
Oh, really?
Yes, to detect carbon monoxide and other toxic gases.
How would they do that?
hold on, I did look it up. I was like, I'm pretty sure it took me a while to figure out which actual bird it was used, but a mining tradition dating back to 1911, the use of canaries in coal mines to detect carbon monoxide and other toxic gases before they hurt humans. So basically, I think they would send the birdies in and they would go die. And so...
and they would just see where they drop dead. Oh, this is the marker.
Yeah, basically.
Aww.
And so then...
I thought they would be able to live, like, and then come back and be like...
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I don't know. Now, the Smithsonian magazine's like fucking getting all these ads are popping up. But basically, so because they need such immense... Okay, here we go. Why was a canary Halden's suggested solution? Canaries, like other birds, are good early detectors of carbon monoxide because they're vulnerable to airborne poisons. Because they need such immense quantities of oxygen to enable them to fly and to fly to heights that would make people altitude sick. Their anatomy allows them to get a dose of oxygen when they inhale and another when they exhale by holding extra air in their air sacs.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
they inhale when they exhale?
Yeah, basically. Relative to mice or other easily transportable animals, they could have been carried in by the miners. They get a double dose of air and any poisons the air might contain. So miners would get an earlier warning because they would basically die.
And then be like, oh, little chickie's dead. Stop. Don't go any more forward. Step back. Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
Poor animals. You know, animals really be getting like used.
They really do.
Humanity.
So sad.
Because even in this movie, I was like, this dog better be getting paid. And I'm like, but wait,
paid actor.
How do you even, the owner's just making bank off this dog. Like
that dog better have the most
buy hella treats, like
Louis Vuitton, everything,
like everything's warmed,
Gucci treats,
like warm blankets, like a warm pillow, like
this doggy's got its own Hermes
has
scarf.
An assistant that just literally pets it all damn day when it's not working,
rolls over, pet my belly, feed me. Well, don't feed dog grapes, they're highly
peanut
toxic
butter.
Yes,
peanut butter,
feed me peanut butter,
literally.
But yes, anyways,
so we have the brothers left in charge. Ha ha ha. Dad is like to Brenda, don't make fun of your brother.
Yeah.
And they have a little moment where they're kind of having a picnic-ish outside of the RV. Mom,
and they prayed
sisters,
before they left, which was so silly.
Yeah.
It was like, that's not going to help you.
Not at all. And so then we had them having their little picnic. We have the exposition of just like, you know, but Bobby makes a really like inappropriate joke, I guess, about mom and rattlesnakes and Freud, and like I guess that means she likes dick. And then we have Beauty gets loose
again, so because they got out initially whenever the car broke down, and you think after the first time that Bobby had to go round them up, they would learn to tie them up.
Yeah,
especially because this is technically the second time because Beauty got out once earlier
in the beginning. Yes,
and so like tie your fucking dogs up.
It's not working out, and so we have Beauty running away. Bobby immediately goes running after her.
Also, why does this motherfucker have two shirts on?
And the pants so low and the belt and his whole look the whole time I did not care for. It was
very reminiscent of the time. Super duper was
2006-ish.
Yeah, I definitely wore that in middle school and stuff when I was a tomboy.
I just couldn't get with it. But you know me, I also like tight fitting clothing and shorts.
Also just I would have taken one of the shirts off at least.
And it's hot.
Yeah, because it's too hot out there.
And at this point, he's collecting a little sweat thing like the other creepy dude did.
Yeah, on the front and the back.
Yeah, literally. And so he ends up finding Beauty, unfortunately, pretty fast. Who they were working fast. He finds Beauty, and he is immediately is emotional because they're like, oh shit, she's dead. But then when he goes in like further inspection, he's like, oh, this is fucked. She's like basically gutted,
completely gutted
from from
jugular to
what is that called, from like in Scream whenever they're like whenever you're like anyways, got a fish. She's nothing's in her, and it's just
she looks
pelt.
like she had been lying out there for days. The way her body was like already I don't know, I guess it was the mixture of blood and dirt and sweat from the other people, but she looked like matted.
Or Beauty.
When she looked so pretty right before, she wasn't very Beauty.
She was
anymore.
a good doggo. And so, he ends up freaking out because he's like, what the heck? And so he starts running. Did he hear someone or he see something, right?
Yeah. So we get to see a flash of someone running by in his red sweatshirt, so who we know is Ruby.
Yeah.
But well, we don't know it's Ruby yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that is what he saw that out of the corner of his eye, and that's what made him go
running. And so he starts running, and he ends up falling off like this little cliff thing, and ends up knocking himself out. Which already we're like, okay, Bobby's gonna die probably.
Yeah,
Bobby's dead.
I just put Bobby is fucked.
Yeah, me too.
He was. I was honestly surprised.
And then we have Ruby coming up to him. She comes up as he's knocked out, and she starts like, caressing him. Yeah, and then she notices there's blood on him, but it's not his blood. He's got blood dripping on him from.
Well, I think a little bit of it was his blood.
Oh, okay.
The one that was like under his head.
Oh, you're right.
But then
probably.
Yes, more blood starts dripping on his.
But it's coming
face.
from above, and I was like, "Where's that coming from?"
Yeah.
And it was from this Goggles, I believe was his name. And probably because he was the one that was always on lookout.
On the goggles, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's just making this weird face and like screams at her, and she's just obviously you can tell already there's a setup that she's not like the other girls or the other guys. Yeah. She wants more
to
caring.
She wants to be
normal.
where the people are.
Oh yeah, she's the Ariel, literally. She wants to be part of his world.
Yeah.
And she just wants a boyfriend. And so we have that happening.
Is he eating one of the dog's legs?
Yeah, and he's eating the dog's leg.
I was like, I think it's the
Beauty's
dog's leg.
Yeah, it's Beauty's leg.
So sad.
Yeah, he's eating her leg,
That's
and
so
he
gross.
just lets out like a little hoot, and then
he just laughs.
we get a different scene then where Doug is walking. He's singing this little ditty, and he ends up coming across all these craters, a nuclear explosion site. But there's like vehicles, and like it looks like a little like car graveyard, basically.
It was giving me Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, House of Wax, like
everywhere.
The wrong
there's
turn.
Abandoned cars, go away.
Literally, because like they're there because. Hello.
Now I'm thinking of the time that Nancy and I broke into that car yard to like take some photos, and I'm like, oh my god, the grass was like 4 feet high. I was like covered in chicker bites afterwards.
Oh my god.
And oh god, we could have been murdered.
You could have.
Oh.
And so he obviously sees all this stuff. It's pretty weird. He, I guess, doesn't think much of it. We see blood on some of the cards, but anyways,
he's just like, look at all this cool stuff I found. And
literally,
when he picked up the teddy bear, I was like, please don't give that shit to your daughter. You have no clue what is on that.
Yeah.
It's been sitting out here in the dust. No. Yes, why are you not more concerned about all of these empty vehicles?
Doug's not thinking about it.
He's just like, ooh, free stuff.
Really. And so we get the gang who stayed behind at the RV, they're all going to bed. Bobby's like, oh, we're not going to wait up for dad. And they're like, no, they're going to like be here in a little bit or whatever, right? Or something like that.
Yeah,
we
flash to Bob. Getting into the store.
And that's when he's at the store because it's nightfall.
Grabs some water like we talked about. And then he goes into the room and reads all the news clippings on the wall. And so it's kind of giving us yet another
more and more
insight of what is happening in the movie, which I think is a pretty clever way to do it with those little news clippings. And you can kind of see some of the mutations that have happened. There's pictures.
It gives you the info without having the need to like have another scene where someone's talking about it or explaining it.
Which at the end, when they said yet another one with that guy, I was like, okay, we get it.
Literally. Yeah, same.
But he goes, weird son of a bitch. And I was like, sir, you just read your future, like literally. Disappearances near the mines, disappearances in the desert, blah, blah, blah.
And
I'm
he's
like,
a fucking detective. And so at this point, nothing's giving him that much like pause, I guess. Not as much as it should anyways, I think.
That was literally like one of those little boards with the red lines connecting things, red string. Like, sir, no, come on.
Yeah.
Have a little bit more brain power.
And so he then at this point gets out of the place and he finds a car and he's trying to get the car started, but then he hears someone talking. And it's obviously the attendant, the gas station man, whatever you want to call him. And he's in the outhouse. You can see his little feet sticking out and he's just babbling.
Yeah.
And so
nonsense. It does sound like he's drunk and clearly he is.
Yeah. And then the dad is like, okay, well, I'm going to go check this out. I was like, no, get the car started.
And just get away from him.
Get the car started.
Yeah. You can come back and apologize later for stealing his car.
For real, yeah. And so anyways, he ends up getting out. He goes and he opens the door, obviously, and it's him babbling, and he's like saying this is no place to raise kids, and then he's like, but I tried. And then we get this really cool, gruesome scene of
I wonder who his kids were.
I know, right?
It was Ruby?
I don't know. Maybe not. Or probably. Maybe that could have been his daughter. Because he honestly, like, kind of normal.
Yeah, he did. He just had some like, it looked like chemical burns and stuff on his neck. But other than that, and then the last guy who got blown up.
Jupiter. He didn't seem to.
No, he looked pretty normal-ish.
Yeah, or relative to normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he ends up taking a shotgun to his head.
Yep. And it's right there, full frontal.
You see it. You see it. They don't like pan away or anything. It's like the practical effects is pretty. I mean, it's pretty fast, but like
it was like, okay, they did that. There was a lot of this movie where my face was like, ooh.
Yeah, so he blows his head off, and it's like completely blowed off, and you get this really cool scene of like the top frame, and then it goes back to it, and you just see like his body with the neck, and then like everything just like bloody stump. That's a good way to put it.
And then you hear someone going,
"Daddy,
daddy,
daddy,
daddy, daddy, daddy," and it's like, ooh, that was so fucking creepy. I was like, nah. Because the whispering kind of sounded like it was coming from multiple places, which I do think it was. There were multiple people there.
Yeah.
And just the way that it was like, daddy.
And I think it was Jupiter, I think, was the one, or was it Lizard? It might have been Lizard or Jupiter. Probably both there, but I think.
Yeah, I remember at one point they were like, Pluto, give me that gun and stuff. And Pluto, so here, according to Pluto was the guy who gets stabbed in the neck, the big guy, superhuman strength. And then
that is so funny, that the irony of them calling him Pluto when Pluto is like the smallest planet.
Yeah.
And he was like the biggest one there.
Lizard was the guy with the like tooth brought up
at the end.
Goggle was
the one with the nose kind of thing.
And Voldemort nose.
Voldemort, yeah.
Papa Jupiter was someone. There's a Papa Jupiter. Cyst was someone.
Maybe Cyst was the one with the thing on his, like the back brace.
Oh yeah, possibly. There's Big Mama, Big Brain, small deformed child. Oh
yeah, Jupiter. Yeah. He was the one with the long hair who got blown up. Papa Jupiter. And
anyways,
so we have,
you don't really get to know their names
really
too much.
No. Yeah, and so we have.
This is where he completely loses his chill though. He's like shooting into the dark, and I'm like, bro, you are wasting all of your bullets.
That happens a lot in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah, which
Bobby does it too, and I'm like,
so many times.
Stop! Like
it's the way that he starts shooting when he's like not even like he's running away and he's just shooting behind him.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, bro,
if you're gonna do that, turn around, get one good shot.
Like.
And then
wait for him to be right in front of you, like because they're obviously not stopping. Yeah. And so we have dad's dead at this point. He gets pretty bloodied up. They're taking him into the mines. We get a shot of him being rolled in, and he just like gives up. He just passes out basically.
Yeah, I mean he's covered in blood, and that shot of him being covered in blood while he's being wheeled into the mines was pretty cool. I liked it. I was like, yeah, that looks good.
There's a lot of stylistic choices for this movie.
Yeah.
Which is basically just a gruesome bloodbath. But we have then them back at the back at the RV setting there. Is it Lynn? Lynn goes out to go search for Bobby, and she ends up finding Bobby out there. Yeah. And then they have him back in the RV. They're cleaning him up. The mom is, and he isn't really giving them information of what happened out there, but you can tell he's freaked out. And they're like gonna go to bed, but he's like giving vibes of like freaked out, but he's not telling them what. They're kind of like, what's wrong with Bobby? And
they said that they heard like weird breathing on the radio. That's right. And stuff, and it's like, why are none of you taking this more seriously? Like Bobby's really the only one that's kind of being like,
there's something wrong.
Which of course he's not sharing all the information, which is a mistake on his part.
Because I feel if he would have shared that at that point, maybe something different could have happened. I don't know. Yeah, probably not though. And so, and then we have him.
Beast goes and finds Beauty. Yeah, because Beast gets out.
Beast gets out, goes and finds Beauty.
That's so sad. He's like whimpering. This is where I put, I hope Doug dies soon. I don't know what he did, but I just hope he died.
Well, he came back, and that's whenever Bobby almost shot him.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, put that damn gun away. And then Doug gives them like the teddy bears and like all these things. And it's like, look what I found.
I think that's why I was like, I hope he dies.
Yeah. Because I was like, it was like, he's like, oh, I guess they used a big old crater and like as a dump.
Yeah. Sure. And then the way he spoke to Bobby and was like it was just kind of degrading, not degrading. He was just talking down to him. Yeah. And it was, I don't know. He
And
was
so
annoying the fuck out of me.
Because then he's like, Bobby's like,
I think he also said something to
Dad.
Lynn.
Yeah.
That I was like,
probably.
no.
And he's like, I want to wait for Dad. And Doug's like, well, if he's not back by midnight, we can go looking for him. So anyways, they all try to go to bed.
I don't understand how any of them are sleeping in that situation.
I don't either. Bobby is not sleeping at all. You know, it's the way that he's like shining his light on his mom.
Yeah.
Like, okay, because you can't point that anywhere else.
I would have been like, you little fuck, stop.
And then...
Because you could see her eyes kind of twitching too.
And so at that point, he hears a bark. And so he thinks it's Beast. And so he goes out and he's like calling for Beast. And he gets a pretty good while away from the trailer. And the bark turns into like laughter. Because it wasn't Beast barking.
Yeah.
It was one of the people. I don't know who it was. And
because he just kind of ran off and left the fucking door open. And then Pluto gets in the trailer. And he gets back there and... like gets to Brenda.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah,
and it's the way no one notices. Yeah, because then he sets off the little bomb thing.
That's right, because it's like no, it's the time, something like that. And it's they wrapped up poor Bob to like a cactus and set it on fire.
It's like
and
a crucifixion scene.
He's burning and he's screaming. They're all like, what the fuck? Yeah, and it's the way that there's no partition or anything really. So they for some reason just did not see him back there
at all.
Yeah, and poor Brenda is like being held down with his mouth or her mouth being covered so they can't hear her screaming. And he's like making like really gross like looks at her and like pulling up the blanket and looking at her area, her no square. And we have them all freaking out outside because they're like, Dad's on fucking fire.
Yeah, Dad just got lit up
and
like the 4th of July.
Doug gets a fire extinguisher, but then like his is is like 20 feet away from him trying to extinguish it. I'm like, he's not even close to him from my perspective, at least I thought. And so anyways, I was like, Doug is in cahoots. Yeah. And so that's whenever all that it's like it's pretty chaotic.
And Lizard slips in during all this chaos, and this is where he bites a little birdie's head off.
Yeah, he bites the birdie's head off.
That scene was like, what?
And then we have
he
him
pours the blood in his mouth.
It's gross. And we have him going over to Pluto and is like,
you have to be a man.
Pluto's in like almost pretty much R word to Brenda, and then like that's when he says that and he takes over and he starts like really messing with Brenda. And I think honestly, did it happen?
I think it did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did.
Yes, he sexually assaulted her, or at least like you see him unbuckling his pants, you see her turned over. Trigger warning.
There's like some like motion and yeah. So and it's the way that she has her like hands on the blinds kind of thing. It's like yeah. So I'm pretty sure that happened. And so we have
and then Lynn walks in because she finally hears some screaming.
The baby. She hears the baby cooing.
That's right.
Crying. And so then she goes over there and she's like, oh my God. And she sees all that happening. She then fights back a little bit.
Yeah. She does have some fight.
Yeah. And then it's the way that she does end up stabbing Lizard. But
oh God, he was like licking her face and then I think he was like sucking her breast.
Yeah, he was literally sucking the milk out of her breast because she was breastfeeding earlier. Yeah. So he is getting breastfed.
That was fucking
the mom walks in with the rock, but it's like, what are you gonna do? And he ends up shooting her, and she like flies back into the back of the RV. Boom. Yeah, and mom's fucked.
And this is where Lynn stabs him.
Yeah, Lynn stabs him in the foot. That's right. But then he like gets the gun and shoots her in the head. So it's that pretty fast.
It painted the walls.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty gruesome scene because even at the same time you have poor Brenda watching everything.
Her mom and sister be murdered.
As she just like got like sexually assaulted. And everybody's pretty much dying in there.
I was so upset because Lynn was like the only one who was kind of actually like
trying to do something stuff. Yeah. And so but that gave very Lynn's character. Like I was already like this family was edged out pretty much from the get-go. We got Lynn, the oldest like responsible child, then we have Bobby, the like middle kind of rambunctious trying to prove himself child, and then we have Brenda, who was just a little brat. She's a baby. Yeah. And so we have basically then Doug and Bobby are like, oh crap, something's going on at the trailer. And then we have Lizard
they hear
and
the screams.
Pluto coming out with Brenda, and he tries to shoot Brenda, but the gun doesn't go off. He's out of bullets.
And he goes, I'll come back for you.
Yep. And then it's pretty much they end up running away, and Bobby's trying to shoot at them, but he's not hitting them at all. And then basically they're kind of freaked out because then they end up getting into the trailer. Mom is dead. Lynn is dead.
She's not dead yet.
It's a fake death. She pops up. Oh yeah, you're right. Mom is shot.
Yeah.
And then Lynn is like pops up.
How the fuck she was still alive? I have no clue.
And then she dies.
But people do survive actually. Like there are
it's like
many cases where people have survived being shot in the head, where it just the bullets enter and exit without hitting any of the major spots in your brain, and you can live.
That's
it's
crazy.
wild.
Yeah.
It's like certain receptors in your brain that once those are hit, you're like, I mean, any like your prefrontal cortex, I think will.
And it did look like it was more like here, maybe.
It was like through the top left of her brain.
And so we have then Doug realizing that the baby was taken away, and they're all kind of like, what do we do now? What do we do now? And Doug's like, I don't know. And then Bobby wants to go out, and he's like, you're going to get killed if you go out there. Just we have to have a plan. And then
this is where we get Beast killing Voldemort.
Beast
and I was like,
kills Goggles. And then we have...
Then we're back in the RV. We're watching the mom die, and it's really fucking sad.
Yeah.
Because she's like, did everyone go to bed? Then, is Big Bob home yet? And is Lynn sleeping? Like, she's like, I need
delusional.
a blanket. It's cold. And she was like, you're so sweet. I understand why Lenny loves you. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. This is really sad.
She was acting for her life there. She had to get the rent paid.
Yep.
And so she died. And then
I believed it.
They're all like, wow, yeah, it was a really believable death scene. And then that's whenever
Bobby loses his shit.
Yeah, that's the time. My bad. Bobby loses his shit. He's like, he wants to go out there and do something about it. But
he's like, I don't fucking care if I die. Which is like,
well, yeah.
Same. I wouldn't. In that situation either, I'd be like, I've just watched all of my family get massacred. My dad lit on fire on a cactus.
Yeah.
Mom gets shot through. She just died. Sister shot in the head. Like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah. But Doug is in like, we need a plan. We can't just go doing that. You're not going to last like 3 minutes out there or something like that, he said. And so we have them kind of regrouping, I guess, in a sense. But then that's whenever they hear, not too long after that, they hear something outside of the...
Yeah, it's a radio.
The radio, that's right.
They hear someone
radioing.
Hear the
radio, and they're like...
saying goggle.
So they go out there, and once again,
he
Bobby is
bullets.
wasting bullets shooting through the trailer. They go out there, and that's whenever he picks up the damn freaking
arm
and he gets the little radio thing, and then they think they hear something under the trailer. Bobby shoots again, but then Beast comes out, and they're like, oh my God, Beast, such a good boy, thank you for coming back. And then we hear them talking, the crazy people talking over the radio, and that's whenever which I don't get why Bobby or Doug did it, because I'm like, why would you... It could have been an asset to like hear them and know what their plans are. But yet he gets on and he's like, why are you doing this to us? What do you want from us? And so now they know that you're listening to them.
And then they put the baby Catherine on the line.
Thing, and you just hear the baby crying. They're just fucking with him at that point.
Here you go. Catherine wants to speak to you.
And so that's whenever they come up with the plan. Bobby and Miss Brenda are going to stay back at the RV.
And Doug's going to go, he goes off to find them with Beast. And I just don't understand what he expects to do with like a bat and a gun.
I don't know.
Against however many people.
Whatever
he has
had been seeing,
no clue. But he's already, two people were, well, I guess he didn't see the two people in there though. But I mean, ultimately you hear other people on the line. You could hear multiple people talking.
You're walking in blind.
Yeah.
And you have,
And you're one person up against however many people who clearly are quite skilled at killing people.
Yeah.
Because they killed 3 of your people already.
Like, would you have separated?
I don't think so.
No, I think we should have all stuck together.
But
I feel
if
like
my baby was out there.
But I feel like they would have been a liability as well if they would have gone with like 3 people as opposed to 1 person in stealth mode.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense. But I don't know. I also don't feel like if they would have gone, he would have ended up in the cooler.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Also, he wouldn't have ended up in the cooler if he would have just took that free kill, but he didn't.
Yeah, fucking loser.
But also, she was pretty She was built strong.
Yeah, she was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he didn't know if anyone else was in there. We already know someone else is outside wandering around.
So he can't make noise and stuff.
Yeah, if he goes and shoots her or something, it's going to draw attention to the house. He was hopefully just trying to get out unseen, unheard, but obviously that didn't happen. So yeah, he's going and he gets into the mines and stuff. I think we find some like
follows
old
the blood
graves.
trail. We see graves of all the people.
Little roller skate and a photograph, like kind of as the marker.
Yeah.
And they he's getting in there, and then it flashes back, and they're booby trapping the place around the trailer, which was cool.
Bobby and Brenda.
Yeah, and then I was wondering why. I was like, why is it called a booby trap? Because I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, you Googled it?
Yeah. And it's basically just, it gives rise to the idea that an individual with the misfortune to be caught in the trap does so because the individual is a booby.
Like a little dumbfounded, like little dummy.
Little dummy, basically. And I was
You're
like,
a boob.
That's funny. You're a boob.
Why would they equate that with a woman's body part? That seems to stem even deeper.
Yeah, it does.
And so we... like literally I'd be like, anyways, so we have him then coming out the other side of the cave hills thing, and it basically comes out to an entrance of a town. There's a little town,
and he tried to radio back to them too, but they were out
telling
making
them like,
place.
hey, like there's a whole town out here, whatever, Bobby, but they don't radio back to him. And so we have him then like going into the town. There's a few fake houses. It's kind of like set up where it was like the mannequin stuff and like a fake atomic city, like you mentioned earlier. And he sees this one dude who's pulling a body, so he's like hide in a vehicle, and he leaves Beast in the vehicle, which I would not have left Beast in the vehicle.
Yeah, I was like, why the fuck would you leave the dog?
Because that's like your biggest asset. But anyways.
And also, can we just talk about how creepy it is to be walking around with all those mannequins and like
you don't know which one would be real.
Which one's real? Yeah, out of the corner of your eye, like you
think
see
everything's real.
Someone, and you're like, oh fuck, and then you're like, oh, it's just a mannequin. But then like one of the times it's got to be real, and it's just
it's scary.
That's just got to put you on like heightened red alert and. Just so creepy.
And so he ends up finding a house that has like a radiator outside or whatever. So he's like, okay, people are in here. So he goes into it and he ends up seeing the baby, Miss Catherine, but it's also kind of being watched by this big old what was her name? Big Mama or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was Big Mama. She was brushing her wig.
Which was this woman, but she's like really like big size.
She's
like
strong.
She's like a strong lady. Yeah.
Big Mama.
And she got big bones. And so anyways, he ends up getting the baby and he's trying to sneak out without making any noise. But the floorboards are creeping when he makes it down the hallway into
I also feel like she saw his reflection in the TV. Yeah.
He ends up getting knocked out by her.
He just makes it and he turns and he's like
and bam. And so then we have Doug waking up in a cooler. Yeah. And he's in there with other body parts. He lights a match and he's like freaking out because he then sees everything around him. And
oh god, it is so gross.
I know it smelled something foul in there.
It was so many just like legs and like
body pieces cut up, blood, a head by his head, and it's not even a pretty head.
It also gave me very Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes.
And he ends up freaking out so much that he's like hitting the top of it and he ends up able to get out and break out of it. Did something happen before that? Because they're like cutting. No, yeah.
I mean, it had flashed back to the trailer,
but there's not much.
But it's just them making more booby traps. The fishing pole came in handy because at one point Lynn had said, "What are we going to do with a fishing pole in the desert?" And they made it was part of their booby trap.
Almost, yeah. And so we have the Doug getting out, and he comes across. He hears someone singing the Star Spangled Banner. Yeah, and it's ugly wheelchair dude.
He sees Bob at the end of the table with the flag in his head, sitting there like with the family. This again gave Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes.
They gave me House of Wax as well.
Oh yeah, and someone's singing the Star Spangled Banner, which it's always so creepy when someone takes a song that's supposed to be, not that Star Spangled Banner is like happy, but
like a child song and then turns like evil. Yeah, basically.
And like it's such a song that's in like commonplace with us. I mean, here in America, and so then to hear it in this setting is like, oh fuck. But yeah, then he turns the corner and we see the guy in the wheelchair, Big Brain, I think, or something. But I was like, yo, this guy was in Star Wars. It is Big Brain. Look, he looked like this Bib Fortuna.
Oh, I get what you mean.
When I saw it, I was like, this motherfucker was in Star Wars.
Yeah, and it's the way like, he was so gross looking. And so
it's him.
That's his evolved evolution look. And so we have the dude is then giving him more information of like, your people destroyed our city and like exposed us to nuclear whatever. So this is why we kill you. And it's
like, this fucking Doug had nothing to do with that shit. Like
at all.
Come on.
Stop blaming them. This was
blame yourself for not fucking getting out.
And your family, your parents, because this was also from the 40s. So it had to been like his, I don't even know.
Yeah. And why, I'm sorry. What's so important about the mines? Like, why do you have to
you
stay
could have moved. You could have moved.
mines?
You weren't that poor.
Yeah.
You weren't all that. No.
And I'm sure they were offering lots of money to relocate people.
It's the thing about people. They just don't want to leave their fucking property. It's so stupid. Like when like hurricanes and all that shit happen, people are like, no, I'm going to stick it out. This is my home. I'm not leaving it. Like,
get the fuck out of there.
Literally. And so anyways, we have him doing all that, but then Pluto busts through the fucking whatever and starts attacking.
Yeah, he starts laughing, and then he's like, "Why are you laughing?" And he goes, "It's breakfast time."
And he starts attacking Doug, and then Doug is basically at this point just dodging and ducking and dipping and diving, trying to get away from the knife that's conniving. Ooh, I rhymed. And so he ends up going into like, Beast comes in and saves starts attacking Pluto, and Doug is able to get away and get into a restroom, and it's the way that he's kind of just chilling in there.
He moves that ceramic like clawfoot tub.
Them things are heavy.
Yeah, they are. And so I was like, how the fuck did you just do that?
And
but he did.
He moved it and put it up against the door, but it's the way that Pluto doesn't need doors.
I know. Okay, wait, hold on though. The use of the heartbeat there was so good. So there was no music. It was just boom, boom. Boom,
it got so quiet.
Boom, boom, boom.
They've done that a lot of times in this movie too.
Yeah, and it got faster and faster, and I was like, "Ooh, that was pretty good," because it makes you, with the quickening like heartbeat, it makes yours do the same. You mirror it, and you're like, "Oh fuck, something's about to happen," and then he just comes through the fucking wall, which I imagine I was like, okay, he's got that superhuman strength, but I'm like, this also was like houses that were like fake. They're not really built to be the most stable. And then
there's no insulation. There's no like two things. It was like one wall.
Yeah, it looked like just one thing of sheetrock.
Yeah,
and he just busted through it.
Yeah, he comes through it. He ends up attacking Doug. They have this little moment where they're fighting. There's like these partitions. I don't know, plastic things, ceramic things coming down from this little roof, and so, reminded me of IKWIDLS. And so he ends up being able to because he has his bat. It gets snapped in half, but he uses the snapped half and like stabs Pluto. But
right into tummy.
Pluto is big mad after this.
Yeah,
and is like, "Oh, you really want to play?" And just starts throwing Doug around, and it's pretty brutal.
And he pulls it out too. He just kind of
it's
the way that after he stabs him, he just kind of stops and he looks at it, and then he just grabs it and is like, pulls it out. And then
at that point, Doug had a really felt opportunity to just like run with him against the wall, and then like as he's like then dip, I don't know, and Austin honestly too like grab the pickaxe, but I don't know. And so then Doug's getting just ravaged pretty much. He is
thrown around,
getting just the life kicked out of him.
Like he literally picks him up by the foot and just like a rag doll
through a wall,
window,
and he falls through glass and then like onto the floor and table, I don't know. And so then he gets underneath the table. We get
his fingies chopped off.
Yeah, his fingers chopped off. Pluto is pretty much got him, where he wants him. He's about to like slice his neck, but then Doug is like, playing into the like victim, and he's like, please don't kill me, please don't kill me. And
he looks like he just gives up.
That Pluto is like really relishing in it. And then as soon as like Pluto kind of takes like a second too long to do a final blow and is distracted, Doug gets just like Lynn with a lizard. He gets the American flag that he pulled out of Doug. Or no, it was a screwdriver.
Yeah, he gets the screwdriver, stabs it in his foot.
And then
Lynn had stabbed Lizard in the leg, I think.
That's right.
And he stabbed him in the foot.
And Pluto screams and he's like, oh my God. And then that's whenever Doug is able to grab the American flag thing
from Bob's head.
And he stabs what's his face? Pluto in the back of the neck, right? All the way through?
Yep. It comes through. You get the end of the flag poking through, like the end of the flag pole per se. It's like one of those little ones. It was on the car.
The car. Yeah.
It was on the truck at the beginning. So it's one of those little ones. And
it's like a stake almost.
Yeah. Stabbed through the neck. And then the flag's just like flap on the back.
And then we have him grabbing the pickaxe, I think, at that point or something. And he
triple taps this motherfucker on the head.
Which is perfect. Perfect, beautiful kill. He ends up killing him. That's whenever little Big Brain is like, whoa, killed the baby. And he sends that order. And then Doug, I guess, doesn't see Big Brain as a threat. So he just like walks out. But then we have Beast coming and
dental dude. That's what I kept calling him.
Oh, dental dude. And then
even though I think it was like a back brace, but it also kind of looked like
that dude. Yeah,
dental.
Well, and we get Beast killing the dude in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have after that, Doug is out there and he ends up killing that dude with the back brace. Yeah, he whacks him in the leg with the
knee, and then he gets the back, and then he gets the tiny axe side to the face. He flips it around. That was a cool scene. I was like, okay, hell yeah. Because at this point, I was like, okay, Doug's being
going
pretty
off.
Badass.
Doug is like at this point, like, nah, I'm done.
I'm finding my baby, bitches.
For real. Y'all are all fucking with me now. Telecommunications is about to get your ass.
Yep.
And so we then have at that point, what happens?
So this is, that's where, because after that is when Big Brain says like kill the baby and stuff, and he says Lizard kill the baby, and then I saw the red jacket and Ruby, and I was like, wait, is that Lizard? And then no, she was thankfully stealing Catherine.
That's right,
the baby, and Lizard was like, get out of here, blah blah.
Yeah. And she replaced the baby with the pig.
With the pig that they found at the beginning, I believe, at the
gas station.
Gas station, yeah.
And so then we have her running off with the baby. Lizard's like, oh, fuck. And Ruby!
Yeah.
And then we have, why do I have Mom got taken? Who's Mom? I don't know why I have Mom got taken.
Oh, she was stolen.
That's right, because they're back at the RV. Mom's body gets taken by Jupiter or someone. And then we have...
Oh, and before this, too, he had walked into that room and it's got the little scene with the kids going, Mister, would you play with us?
I would have shot them kids in the head, TBH. I would have shot them in the head.
I thought that was a cool scene, though.
I would have... It's the way that... No survivors. They need to be taken out because they're all doing something bad. Yeah. Even the kids. And so...
But yes, they're back now. Yeah, they're going to grow up to be bad, probably. Yeah. But the booby trap's going off, and that's when we see that Mom's been stolen. And, that's... They see some motherfucker eating her.
Yeah. The Bobby sees Jupiter eating her, and then he ends up running back to the RV, and that's whenever they get
And this
Jupiter
is where he's running like that. Shooting
behind him with not even looking, like a dumbass. Yeah. And then we have him finally, they're in the RV, and then Jupiter attacks, and they're
when
able...
he throws that axe, it
almost
barely
I
missed
thought
him.
He was about to die.
Yeah, I was like, oh, fuck. Whenever we saw him winding up, I was like, oh, there goes Bobby. Yeah. And then it just missed him.
Just barely. And then we have him, Jupiter ends up they use bungee cord type of things and get him like tied onto the window. And Jupiter doesn't see them leaving out the side window on the other end, or the back window, and they are able to get out. He thinks they're still in there, and so
they've set some major booby traps,
which is like these matches and like taped, and like anyways, he ends up opening the door, and it sets off a whole explosion.
Yeah, because they had the propane tanks like opened, and so it was leaking gas in there, and then the way they had these matches like taped up, and then the lights, whatever the strip is called, I don't know what it's called, the little fire strip thing. That you scratch it on the door, and so whenever you slid the door open, it lit all the matches and then setting the explosion off.
Which really you only needed one of those to work.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. But then also like there goes your only source of cover.
And literally,
because the car's gonna blow up too. So it's like
now you're exposed. Yeah. And so we have them kind of like, yay, we did that, and then they go back to the RV, right? And he's still alive.
Yeah, I don't think they went back quite yet. Yeah,
because Doug. We have Doug.
We go back to Dougie chasing after Catherine and Ruby, and Ruby's like, whenever he gets to her,
she's gonna give him the baby.
Yeah, she's like, please take it. Like, and then she's trying to be nice. And I'm so thankful that he didn't just like shoot her immediately because I was really worried that he would.
And you have Lizard jumping from up top and ambushing him.
Lizard fucking jumps on him.
They're fighting. He is kind of fucking up Doug a little bit.
Yeah, well, because that's a fucking cool weapon. Like high key, those little road spikes, those tire spikes again. It's like a little spine.
Very much so.
And it's a whip.
Yeah, it's
pretty cool.
Cutting them up. And so they end up getting into a fight. And just as we think that Doug is out for the count and Lizard starts chasing Reaping Catherine again.
I'm kind of sad that he got taken out.
We have him getting back up. He goes and he...
Did his wedding ring give him strength there?
I have no idea.
It looked like it because just through his bandaged hand of his fingers like being chopped off, you can see the wedding ring. And he's like looking at it because it pans in on his hand. And I was like...
Oh, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah,
I think that is what gave him strength.
Oh yeah, he was just like, but still, he's like, I'm gonna do this for my wife, and I gotta save the baby.
Yeah,
and he ends up getting up. He ends up being able to shoot Lizard. And Lizard's down. He doesn't triple tap like he should.
Yeah, but I was like, come on, you gotta shoot him again.
They only shot him in like right here, the chest, and then like. Probably over here, but not in the head.
And he had the perfect opportunity because he was lying face down. He walks up to his body and it's like, dude, shoot him in the motherfucking head. But he just kind of kicks him with his foot and it's like, and then he drops the fucking gun.
Yeah.
Right next to him. The moment that happened, I was like, oh, fucking come on. I was like, this bitch gonna get up.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting there holding Catherine to his bloody body. And the baby at first is like,
ew.
I don't touch you.
And then we have
I'd also be like, who the fuck are you?
Is not dead. And he gets up, obviously, and he's about to shoot him and the baby. But that's when we have Ruby, like, really, her character arc comes full circle, and she just jumps in the way and takes him down, and they fall off the cliff. And
she sacrifices herself.
Yeah. Hopefully she's not dead. She did land on top of him.
Yeah, she did land on top of him. So hopefully... Maybe she's
just unconscious.
And
we'll wake up later.
That's what I was hoping for too.
Poor Ruby. Yeah. And then we have him being able to get back to
and this
Brenda
is where
Bobby.
It had gone back and we see that homeboy's still alive.
Oh, that's right. They end up killing him. Well, Brenda does because she's like, fuck you.
Yeah, she was like,
yeah.
I loved it. I was like, get him, Brenda.
And then we have Doug coming back with the baby.
Like through
They're
the flames.
All reunited. Yeah.
He's got the dog Beast. Hug. And which I'm like, did he go back to get Beast on this leash?
I guess. I don't know how that even happened. And then we have them being reunited. It's like we think, oh, yes, we're out of the woods. But then we get pan out and they're still being watched.
Yep, by some goggles. And I was like, that's a good ending. I liked the way it ended. I love one that leaves you not knowing what the fuck's like if they made it out or not. And still being watched. And then the credits were really good.
Yeah.
Like with the red, and I really like that like kind of bluesy old time like kind of country song. And it was really good. I was like, oh, these are actually some pretty nice credits. I kind of wanted to keep watching, and then I was like, oh wait, I got to get here. But yeah,
that's The Hills Have Eyes.
Hills Have Eyes, 2006 version. Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I
think it was a pretty good movie, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's pretty gruesome if you don't mind the gore, but like other than that, it's because honestly, the whole time I was honestly anxious. I was like, oh yeah, no. I was like, oh, don't, come on, wait, do something. Yeah, like I was on the edge of my seat.
I was too.
I would give this movie. A 4.3.
4.3.
4.3.
I was trying to figure out why I knew Vanessa, who played Lynn, so much.
She's on something.
She's in Hocus Pocus.
She's on Lake Placid. Oh, she is on Hocus Pocus. She is the love interest. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's in quite a few films. But yeah, she was in Hocus Pocus. That's definitely where I'm remembering her from. 4.3.
Yeah.
Why is that?
4.3. I really enjoyed people getting mutilated and eaten, right? No. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty decent story. I thought, other than like, and especially in like honor of like The Hills Have Eyes really, I guess you're exploiting people's like deformities and stuff like that, and kind of stigmatizing that. But also, like, it's just kind of more like, I don't see other things like that really, other than like it inspired everything that came after that is like it. When we get like Wrong Turn and we get like all these other movies. So I just thought it's pretty decent concept. Like, yeah, like that did happen, like radioactive, like nuclear fallout, and what would happen if people were exposed to this and then like turn into these people that then are just gonna kill people. Like, that was a pretty cool story.
That are cannibals.
Yeah. I thought the deaths were pretty gnarly. The practical effects were like really cool, visually. Honestly, I got everybody's character from the get go. Yeah, the characters, like, I got it.
They did a good job of fleshing that out without even going
Doug,
hardcore into
Lynn, the mom, even the mom, like just her jargon, and then like being, you know, so kind of more like, you know, I don't know what the word, wholesome, I don't know.
Yeah,
and then
conservative.
Like,
you got your Christian, nice Southern lady.
And then like, even with the inbred cannibals, there was a pretty good, like, you had the big strong one, you had the one that kind of seemed more like brainy, and you had like,
he was kind of behind all of the operation,
the lizard guy, and then you had so it was pretty fleshed out. And we also got like that little, I liked and enjoyed Ruby's storyline of her like being not like them and helping them out and giving back Catherine, like knowing or feeling like this is not okay. Right. Yeah.
We shouldn't be
doing this,
hurting these people. Like, because these people, I'm sure realized that these people had nothing to do with what caused their situation.
Yeah.
So
overall, I think for plot, for story, for effects, for acting,
it was pretty good
story
acting.
Writing.
There's nothing in there that I was like, this is forced.
Lyrics, even like writing. There was not too many scenes where I was like, oh, this is sounding cheesy, or this is sounding corny. Like, this is like, it was all pretty much like how I think people would probably realistically react in this
I
these
agree.
Moments.
1000%.
So 4.3 for me.
Good. Yeah, I think I'm probably right around there. I was like stuck between a 4 and like a 4.5 because I really did enjoy it. I thought it was super good. It was an hour and 47 minutes, so almost a 2-hour film, and it was.
But it didn't feel like it. To me.
It didn't. It was very easy to get through, and
I think because it feels like it's also in segments, because it's like first half, like first act, and then nightfall, second act into like the next day. Yeah. And then the third day, when we get like the final third act, everything happens.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it felt like that to me, that it
was nice and broken up.
Yeah. It was paced well.
Yeah, it was. And like you said, all the acting was pretty good. There was not really any part where I was like, nope, that's not believable.
Cringe.
Yeah. Everyone
like
did
the
a really
Bobby
good
and
job.
Brenda, like little, like, even at the end, whenever like at the moment after she's like, they're doing something with the booby traps, and she's like, he's got worked up about something, and she's just like crying, and at that point he's just like, I'm sorry, and like hugs her. And it's just like, because she
was setting off the tire, like setting the tire on fire and stuff, and he was like, no one's gonna see this, no one's gonna come for help, like no one's gonna see that fucking tire burning, no one's gonna help us. And that's when that was when she starts crying, and then he starts crying too, because obviously they're both just scared.
Traumatic experience,
yeah, and their whole relationship was very like sibling-esque. Yeah,
they're gonna pick on each other, but now this is not the time.
They're the closest in age, like, so they're obviously very, because I feel like siblings that do have that kind of relationship are also very close. Like, you pick on the people that you love as bad as that sounds.
I get it.
But yeah, so it was clear that they were very close, and they just enjoyed like heckling one another. And then so in that moment, like, you know, it was good that they had each other. But yeah, all of it was super believable. I enjoyed it. The practical effects were pretty cool. Yeah, I'd say I'll give it 4.3 too.
4.3.
4.3 as well.
Or we'll give it at a 4.3. Yeah.
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 So 4.3 from your boo base for the 2006 remake of The Hills Have Eyes.
Dum, dum, dum.
Bum, bum, bum. But as always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio. They take great care of us. And if you want to listen to our show or any of the other beautiful shows on Rogue Media Network, you can find them
on roguemedianetwork.com, or also on your streaming platforms such as Spotify,
and Apple Podcast.
And just any other podcast.
Yeah, wherever you get your
streaming
podcasts.
sites. Yeah.
But wherever you do listen, please don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
Because that is the only way we can ever get ahead in this world of podcasts.
Yes, please, because there's so many out there, and there are so many great ones, but we think ours is really great too.
That's
and
right.
we would love to be up there with everyone else.
And if you think it's great, leave a review, please.
Sure. And we're excited, and we are so thankful for all of our
new listeners,
people who are just tuning in with us, and we are excited to keep sharing the spooks with you.
Especially as we get closer to actual spooky season now.
Spooky season, yes.
Yay!
I'm so excited.
Me too. And then if you want to reach out and connect with us and talk to us about any of the films that you've watched or stuff, like, and kind of follow along. We have one listener who's his name's Jeff.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I hope that's
shout out to Jeff.
Yeah, he's been super interactive with our stuff, and he's been like,
liking our posts,
going through and like rewatching movies and like letting us know and stuff, which is really cool. I love that.
And we would love more of y'all to do that.
Yeah. So if you've watched some of the movies, and even if it was like episode 3, let us know what you thought about it.
Or
it's
if you see
fun.
a horror movie that you see that we haven't even covered, but you really liked it, like give us little, what is it called? Suggestions. Yeah. Like we're always down.
Also, Kesley had also messaged us about, Kesley, who was on for our Babadook episode. She had messaged us about a film that she had watched and gave us her review.
Nice.
And so she said, I just finished the Friday the 13th episode, and she said, loved it. She said, but I would definitely give this classic movie a 3. She said, I've only seen it once, and it was a few months ago, but I was genuinely shocked by the twist in the end of it being the mom, which I was like, girl, how did you not catch on after you watched all the Scream videos or Scream movies? But because they say it in that.
Yeah.
But she says, I went in thinking it was going to just be Jason. So she was like, I was kind of bored because I knew it was going to happen, but then it wasn't
the
him.
twist. Yeah.
And so she's like, I loved it. And then she said,
cute.
We should do the trilogy movies, Fear Street. Because she said those are summer slashers.
Have you seen them?
I think I've seen.
Actually,
no, I don't think I have.
I enjoyed that.
I think I've seen them, and then I've not actually watched them.
I enjoyed the trilogy.
So.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's R.L. Stein, Goosebumps.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but
okay.
he wrote these. It's kind of like targeted towards a little bit of an older audience and like preteens.
Yeah.
But because there's like, actual deaths and stuff, but they were pretty good. The third one was my favorite one.
That'd be fun.
Because they're set in, the first one's set in the 90s. The second one is set in the 80s or 70s, I believe. And then the first one is set in like the 17 somethings. Because it's like, it goes back. It's
okay.
Really,
that would be fun.
but they all tie into each other.
I love that. That's really neat. That's exciting.
Yeah, we could do like we could end our summer series with like a 3-part and then pop.
You want to do that?
We'll see. Yeah, because I looked it up. Summer doesn't end until September 22nd. So we have
we got some time,
more
bitches.
episodes. Yeah.
So we're going to watch the first episode of the first movie of the Fear Street trilogy then next?
I think we're going to do something before that, and then we'll do
we'll do
the 3.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think the way the timing is lined up, we still have like this many episodes before summer's over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a few.
Yeah. 6.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll let y'all know what we end up recording and stuff for the next one.
Sure.
But again, you can follow us and figure out what we choose to record next, and let us know your thoughts on that film on our one social media platform that is Instagram, and that is at
Boobays Podcast, and that's BOOBAES because they're your boobays, not your boobabes.
That's right.
And
please reach out. We really love hearing from y'all, and we're so thankful for all the new people who've come.
Literally.
Mike just texted me the stats, and it's exciting.
That's awesome.
There's quite a few people. So thank you guys.
Keep a lookout.
It really means the world to us that you're listening, and we can't wait to give you more spooks in the future. So until then,
bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network